For a fruity twist on a classic whiskey sour, you need to try this recipe right here. This week, let me show you how to make a raspberry whiskey sour. Welcome back to the channel, I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, today I'm making a fruity little twist on a classic whiskey sour. I'm making a raspberry whiskey sour, and I got the idea for this cocktail when I reviewed this whiskey right here. I'll put a link to it up there, a link to it down below if you want to check it out afterwards. But this here is the Ruby Silkie from the Lake Distillery. It is a very, very nice, really full, really rich whiskey. It's a little bit of peat in it, but the main selling point of this whiskey is that it was finished in ruby port casks. So it has this, as you can see, really rich, dense, kind of red berry, fruity note to it. And I wanted to have a cocktail that would highlight that. So I wanted to make a raspberry whiskey sour. But this here is cask strength, and like I said, it does have a bit of peat whiskey in it. So I'm actually not going to only use this whiskey. This here comes in at 62.5%. So to keep things a little bit balanced, I'm actually going to go in with another whiskey. I'm going to split the difference, go 30ml of the Lake Ruby Silkie and 30ml of this whiskey right here, which is the Jack Ryan single grain. Comes in at 40%. Again, there'll be a link up there, there'll be a link down below. Quite a nice, simple little whiskey. So it's an enjoyable little whiskey, comes in, like I said, 40%. It's a single grain whiskey, so it's a bit buttery, a bit smooth, and it was finished off in Californian Pinot Noir cask. So you get this nice red berry note that's just gonna add to the flavors we get there without distracting from it, but also keeping our alcohol ratio quite nice and kind of balanced for our cocktail. For the rest of my ingredients, I'm gonna stick it pretty close to like a classic whiskey sour recipe, which is essentially 2 parts whiskey, 1 part sugar, and 1 part citrus with an egg white to round it out. For my sugar syrup, I've got this here. This is a raspberry syrup, comes from Drink Botanicals Ireland. It's just very good. You could make your own if you wanted, but realistically, when you can find one like that, that's very good on the shelf, use it. They don't pay me or anything. I just really like that, and I really like using their syrups, whether it's raspberry or strawberry or various different flavors in a cocktail. So again, I'll put a link down below to like a recipe if you can't find something like this where you could make it yourself. But for me, this fantastic. I'm also going to be using a little bit of lemon juice and some egg white. And I've already separated that out there, but I just got this egg here for decoration because I've got a little bit of an egg white. For my bitters, I'm not going to go with any Angostura bitters. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of orange bitters because I want that red berry note. I want that rich, fruity raspberry with a little bit of peat smoke from that coming through. The orange bitter is just going to help kind of round out our lemon to keep it a bit citrusy rather than like sour citrusy. And that's enough time talking about the cocktail. I think it's time we make it, so let's get to making it. It is going to be a shake and drink, so we're going to get our shaker tin and we're going to pop a nice rock of ice into there before we measure the rest of our ingredients. Starting off with our whiskeys, like I said, we're going to go in with 30ml of each of these whiskeys. So I'm going to go in with 30ml of this lovely Ruby Silkie whiskey from the Lake Distillers, and then I'm going to go in with 30ml of my Jack Ryan single grain Irish whiskey. So this is going to bring us up to 60ml total. You don't have to use these whiskeys. You don't even have to use a wine finished whiskey at all. You could use just a good nice raspberry syrup. You'll get a nice result, but it won't be as fruity and as kind of red berry as this one here will be. Speaking of my raspberries and my red berries, gonna go in with my syrup. This is nice, it is rich, it is dense, it has real fruit in it. You can see that is lovely and thick. So I'm gonna go in with, I'm actually not gonna go in because it's so dense. I'm not gonna go in with a full 30ml. I'm gonna go in with just a little bit less. I'm gonna go in with 25ml of it because this is quite sweet, it is quite dense, it is quite rich, and I don't want the cocktail to be like overly sweet. You can see how thick that is. I don't want it to be overly sweet. I want it to be nice and balanced. But I am going to go in with 30ml of my citrus. So this can be 30ml of freshly squeezed lemon juice. If you have a chance, always use freshly squeezed lemon juice. So that just gives it much more flavor. And then my egg whites. This is about 30ml of an egg white, just one kind of medium-sized egg into there. Then my bitters going to go in with 2 dashes of my orange. 1, 2 into there, just like that. And then I'm going to pop the top on and shake it away for about 30-35 seconds, get everything nice and mixed. Okay, I think that is nicely mixed now because I can feel and see that the shaker tin is nice and cold. So I'm going to bang the top off my shaker tin and get ready to strain it out. Now, if you can't get a really good foamy head on your cocktails, you can of course do a dry shake without ice and then do a shake with ice. But something about the combination of the size of my ice cubes and the size of my shaker tin, I don't need to do a dry shake, so I should get a very nice, silky, creamy head on my cocktail, just like that. And because that head is going to take a little bit to settle, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews like the review of that Ruby Silkie, like the review of that Jack Ryan single grain every Wednesday, and I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey like this every Friday, and every now and then on a Monday I put out a different kind of whiskey video where I talk about whiskey, maybe compare different ones. So if you want to see those kind of videos, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a note in the comments below and say what kind of cocktail you think I should make in future. But let's let this settle for a few seconds more. Okay, I think that is about as settled as it's going to get, or at least about as settled as I'm willing to wait for. So I'm going to get my little garnish, which is just 3 little raspberries on a stick, pop that just on top like that. And that right there is how I make a very, very nice little raspberry whiskey sour. So let's get to tasting this lovely little cocktail. Cheers. Oh yes, that is lovely. I'm really glad I didn't go in with 2 ounces of the Ruby Silkie. Like it, very, very nice whiskey, but because it's got that peat smoke, I think if you went in with 2 ounces, that smoky nature would have carried through too much. Here, you just get like a rich, almost earthy, like peaty counterpoint to that citrus, to that raspberry. You get a nice rich flavor without kind of overpowering or dominating. You just get a nice full flavor to the cocktail. I think if you didn't use like that whiskey there, you would still end up with a really, really nice cocktail, like raspberry and lemon juice and whiskey and a little bit of orange bitters. You're going to get a good result. You're going to have a nice little cocktail at the end of the day. Very, very nice. I'm not sure why I put it down, so I'm definitely going to keep on enjoying it, and I will see you next time. Sláinte.